Welcome to the U-Turn podcast. My friend, this is Ashley Stahl. I'm your host, and you are in the right place if you're ready to create a business, a career, a personal brand, or just a life that you're so proud of. And every single week, we want to support you by bringing you PhDs, subject matter experts, psychology practitioners, business leaders, all here on the show to elevate your success in business and also in life so that you can leave the legacy, you can amplify your authority, and you can really skyrocket the amount of opportunities you're creating for yourself in your career, whether you're corporate or you're a business owner. And if you are new here, again, my name is Ashley Stahl. I'm an international bestselling author of the book U-Turn, Get Unstuck, Discover Your Direction, Design Your Dream Career. And most importantly, I'm the CEO and founder of Wise Whisper Agency. I'm a top 100 TEDx speaker on the internet, and I was so inspired to create Wise Whisper and help clients craft their signature talk. We've helped hundreds of clients craft their talk, and we've also helped so many of them land spots on some of the biggest stages in the world, including the TED and TEDx stage. And so I am here on a mission to help every changemaker I know impact millions. Also, before we get into this episode, shout out to our friend Andy B. Mackin, the artist that has gifted us this sick new music for the podcast. Let's get into this week's episode. What's going on, U-Turn people? I have Nitika Chopra on the show. She's a founder and CEO of Chronicon and the Chronicon Foundation. She's been doing this over 5 years. I think it's been around 6 years. It's a pioneering platform and nonprofit, really here to help people with chronic illness through advocacy, community education. She's a host, she's a speaker, she's an entrepreneur. She's collaborated with so many brands, whether it's Google or Microsoft or all sorts of them. She's also hosted a globally distributed talk show and now leads Truth Talks via her publication, The Truth Today. And her mission is to create healing spaces where people are empowered to live fully and thrive. And I'm really excited to just talk to her about the work she's doing. She has a lot of one-on-one clients too, just focused on well-being as a whole. That's why we started this show, the U-Turn podcast, and we've been at this. It's almost 500 episodes now, just devoted to your well-being and to you shining. And I think chronic illness is something that I literally just feel like is everywhere. And I feel like every time I turn around, there's new information about how to not have it or what to do with it. And you hear people saying it's all about your mindset and then it can go away, and then other people saying it's not going away and I'm doing everything with my mindset. So, Nitika, I'm so thankful that you're here to talk about all this.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be chatting with you.
Yeah, and y'all, Nitika's in Brooklyn, so she's gonna
Yeah,
be in my path whether she likes it or not.
I love that. I
Oh,
love that.
great.
I'm
Um,
down.
I know it's funny. You know what? I haven't found a lot of people in this side. I know that they exist where they're like deeply interested in like healing and
Mm,
not in the way that like I love plant medicine and stuff like that, but like not in the way where they're just constantly, you know, on plants trying to find it. Like there's a deeper type of work. I think plants
yeah.
are super deep, but I don't know. Sometimes I feel like there's communities where you're just chasing highs all the time to find the answers,
Oh
you know?
my God. Yeah, I love that, Ashley. I love that you brought that up because that's so much of why I do the work that I do. And we're just meeting for the
Yeah.
first time, which I love, but I'm
Yeah.
getting such a strong sense from talking to you that like that's so aligned with how you are too. But that's exactly it. Like I created Chronicon because over half the population of the United States has a chronic illness. And every time I would talk to someone who had a chronic illness, like I would meet them in, an event or whatever, and they would say, "Oh yeah, I have lupus or I have MS or, I myself have a couple of different conditions." Everyone felt so alone in their
Mm,
experience, right? And so my journey as a founder has been really like, okay, I'm getting them in the door through the conversation of chronic illness, but that's really not what this conversation is even about. I
mm,
feel like the illness is really the portal to figuring out so much truth that lies within you and your body, in your ancestry and your lineage. And that is not like a chasing high conversation, like you're saying. It's not like a quick fix. Sometimes things, like you said, like plants or different medications can help at different times, depending on what your doctor suggests. but it's not a one size quick fix answer. And you have to really want to be on that journey.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, I know this is weird to say, but the healing space has gotten so crowded and it's like really hard, I think, for people to actually get their hands on like what is it really going to take to heal. And I
Yeah.
think sometimes the real healing is in self-acceptance and simplicity. Sometimes it's in Western medicine, sometimes it's in Eastern medicine. So I almost want to take us into somebody who's listening right now that like doesn't feel great and maybe they have something autoimmune or maybe they're exploring if they do. What would be your first thought for them to just kind of help ground them right now?
Yeah, well, when you list out all those different things that they could do, the first thing that comes to mind is like a lot of times it's doing all of the things, but being tapped into how and when and with who, and also doing it from a place of true agency and power. So I have done countless things. I got my first chronic illness, which was psoriasis, at the age of 10. And as you can imagine, my mom was overcome. She was so upset. I within a year went from having a tiny dime-sized spot on my left shoulder to having my entire body from the tip of my foot to the tip of my head.
Wow.
And I spent 17 years of my life like that. I'm now 44 and have been diagnosed with a couple of things since then. And it really rocked me.
But did you say 34 or 44?
I'm 44, yeah.
Oh my gosh, why is autoimmune like a hot girl condition? Like how many of my friends,
It really is though. Not
yeah,
to toot my
like
own horn.
what is
I'm like, I have
this?
3 autoimmune diseases, and I'm like, no, it's true. It's true. I feel like there's something to that or something like that. Like women, the women that I work with and also that are in my communities and all the things, they're just, it's not even about physical. It's like there's such a deep glow within all of them. And I feel like it is because they are such givers. They're so emotionally connected. Their hearts are so big. And some of that has become toxic for them. Some of that has leaned into the overgiving, overdoing. But yeah, it's it's
It's
very
so weird. The amount of
um
like beautiful friends I have that are like, we have Lyme. I'm like, I've had it. I've had Lyme and
yeah.
very little symptoms from it. But yeah, just the amount. Okay, so kind of going back, you were
So
sharing.
yeah, so my mom, she was overcome. So I tried all the things, but the difference is that I tried them from a very desperate place,
Mm,
right? From that place of like, oh my God, this has to work. Okay, what's the next thing? I'm going to grasp at this. I'm going to call like 100 people. I'm going to figure this out from this very basically a fight or flight place. I am big on all things nervous system. I've been rewiring my nervous system with my coach for the last several years. And it really does. I mean, it's such a buzz thing now to talk about, but it really does make such a life-changing difference.
yeah.
So it's like the actions could even be the same. I could still call a doctor and get on medication, but
Mm,
the place that I'm doing it from is wildly different.
mm,
So when you say if there's someone sitting at home listening to us and they're starting this journey or they're in the middle of the journey and they're like, are you freaking kidding me now? Like again with something else, I have another flare up. I would say an unconventional thing maybe to say is if that person came to me, I would say, we're going to spend some time honoring the depth of grief you have about the situation.
mm,
Because that was one of the first things that changed my life was finding somebody, it was a therapist at the time, who told me I was allowed to grieve.
mm,
Because we talk about grief a lot when it comes to losing a loved one, going through something that has like, it seems like a physical loss associated with it, a loss of a person. What we don't focus on enough are these micro aggressions around grief all day long when
mm,
you are living with a condition that is limiting the way you live.
mm,
Right. So like that grief, like if you called me in the morning and were like, hey, Nitika, like let's go for this like Pilates class. Like I want to go work out. And I had a terrible night's sleep because my chronic illness kept me up all night. And I'm like, oh my God, I love Ashley. I want to hang out with her. And I feel bad I can't do that because I'm sick. And then, oh no, is she never going to want to ask me to hang out again? Or,
mm.
excuse me, all that. Sorry, I'm going to cough for a second.
Yeah, cough away. We can edit it.
Okay, great. I don't know. I guess I haven't spoken that much today. So
You're like, I've been alone for too many
yeah,
hours.
I really have. But I'm gonna be like, oh, that's such a bummer because like, oh, is Ashley maybe not gonna ask me again? Or every time there's like a birthday dinner and everybody wants to go to a certain place, but I'm gluten free because I have celiac disease, or so many things. People don't give the space that they deserve to grieve that, because the truth is, those people are probably going to that birthday dinner. They're going to have their own experience. They're going to be fine. You don't want to bring them down. You don't want it to be the center of your life. That's also a lot of it for a lot of my clients and people I work with. But this is happening every day, sometimes all day.
Mm,
And so allowing ourselves to get to that place initially and to be honest about it then allows you to build this resilience and this agency from an honest place
mm,
versus from a place of reaction because of the grief.
mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm going to pause there because I feel like I've said a lot. So tell me what you're thinking as I'm saying all of this.
Yeah, I literally
When I started this podcast, it seemed like I had to figure everything out on my own: the scripts, the setup, the filming schedule, logos. It got really overwhelming, and every day kind of seemed to introduce this new decision that I needed to answer. So that's kind of how it goes, right? When you're starting something new, it seems like your to-do list kind of grows every day with new tasks, and that list can easily begin to overrun your life. So finding the right tool that not only helps you out, but simplifies everything can be such a game changer. And for so many millions of businesses, that tool is Shopify. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from household names like Mattel and Gymshark to brands just getting started. Shopify really helps you build a beautiful online store to match your brand's style. You can accelerate your content creation. Shopify is packed with very helpful AI tools that write product descriptions, page headlines, and even enhance your product photography so you can get the word out, kind of like you have a marketing team behind you. So you can easily create emails, social media campaigns, whatever your customers are scrolling or strolling. And best yet, Shopify is your e-commerce expert with world-class expertise in everything from managing inventory to international shipping to processing returns and beyond. So if you're ready to sell, you ready for Shopify. So turn your big business idea into with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/uturn. Go to Shopify, shopify.com/YOUTURN, shopify.com/uturn.
think that to live is to grieve in a lot of ways, like
Mm.
all day long, right? Like I was just looking in the Zoom tile and like I'm starting to get like a little like old lady neck, you know, and I'm like, oh my gosh, where's my
I don't see that, but okay, I hear you. You know yourself differently, but I don't see
I
that at
don't
all.
know. I'm like, what am I seeing? But the point being, I was listening in a meditation somewhere. It was saying that we age slowly so that we can process it,
Mm.
so we can make sense of it. It doesn't like sneak up on us. Although I do feel like sometimes, especially with parents, you look at them and suddenly you're like,
Mhm.
wait a minute, you look like you were 45 a year ago, but now you look like you're 70. Like, it's just our parents, like aging is such a hard thing. So I think there's like this bigger level of grief with our body, with what we can do. But there's this other level of grief of feeling left out, feeling alone, feeling like we're losing opportunities. And I think a lot of that can be scarcity minded, but it's natural to do it. And I think there's this higher way of thinking, and I'm sure you coach your clients on it around your vibration, right? Being like, I trust the frequency I'm putting out is meant for certain things. And if I cancel an appointment or a thing, I trust that I'm with somebody that can, you know, be with me or do it with me and flow with me. And I imagine like having some sort of illness. I see this in one of my very best friends right now. She has Lyme and it's just truly awful. She's got two kids and she's sick and she's trying to make sure they don't see how sick she is. She's up all night. Like she's just not well. And I can see her fighting with all of her might not to identify with it
Mm.
and not to see herself as a sick person. And she has this insane amount of grief of like, where did my life go and where is my future going? Like, and she doesn't travel anymore, which I think is for the best because she almost was in denial for a long time. So a different
Mhm.
type of grief. Like, this isn't happening. And so she kept traveling and keeping up a pace that made her way more sick.
Hmm.
So maybe somebody that's in that position, what would you want to say to them?
Yeah, you know what's also coming up for me? I mean, so many things as you share that about your friend. What's also coming up for me is one of the things I learned in starting Chronicon was that a lot of people that I connect with don't even identify with having a chronic illness. They could have diabetes, they could have PCOS. It's not really something that they're going around telling people like, oh, I have a chronic illness. They're pretty high functioning. They're just like doing their thing, you know? So it's not even something that they think about in that way. So this conversation really is for those people who feel a bit restrained by their body or their symptoms. It's not necessarily only if you say, oh, I have the chronic illness. But what I want to say about your friend is that, first of all, it sounds like all the stages, right? And like when you talk about all the stages of grief, it's like all of that is in there, like the anger, the frustration, the denial. And that's what I say is like, you know, it's we don't put enough attention on this kind of grief. And so I'm so glad that she has a friend like you that she can have as support and that you guys can be in it a bit together. But yeah, I just really feel for the journey that she's going on because there's no rule book for this.
Mm.
There's no rule book for this. And that whole thing about identifying with your illness, you know, as I mentioned, I got my first chronic illness at 10. Then I got psoriatic arthritis at 19, and it left me bedridden for the first half of my 20s. And to not identify with my illness, I didn't even know that was an option.
Yeah.
You know, this was all I knew. It was like right when I started puberty, it was like the time that I was learning, like, am I like kind of like you're an individual person, sort of starting to be, you know, separate from your family, little by little as you go through puberty. And then, of course, like going to school and going to college and things like that. So I think the whole conversation around not identifying with our illness is such a nuanced one. And I think it belongs here in the same way that grief has nuance because it isn't an all or nothing. It's like I might have been diagnosed with these conditions, but and they do dictate certain parts of my life, you know, a lot less now than they used to. But I've had to do a lot of work, and this is how I work with clients too, of like, who are you outside of this?
Hmm.
Like, what is the full person? If this is the arm, you know, what are all the other like parts of you that exist? And let's get to know those parts of you. And as you start to make, it's also, you know, I have so many thoughts. I feel like I'm bouncing around, but like
Oh, I'm
it's
here.
also part of a fight or flight response. When we are in fight or flight, we are biologically wired to only take in, and I'm putting my hands up in a small square, a tiny bit of information. Because if I am under threat, which is what fight or flight responses were originally designed for within our system, I don't want to take in, oh, look at the person across the street, oh, look at this thing, or look at, I just want to take in the one thing that's under threat.
Hmm.
Right? So even just thinking about it from that perspective, if you are going through a really, like you are in the fire of the belly when it comes to your health and your body, it is so normal physically, biologically, for you to sit there and be like, oh my God, this is all I can think about all day. I literally can't think about anything else. And it becomes such a big part of your identity. So part of it and why I've loved nervous system work so much is that it almost takes out the like deeper emotional sting. It allows me to sort of biologically put things in their right place as well. And so just even knowing that and catching yourself, you know, oh, every time I make a plan, I mention my illness, or every time I text a friend, I mention my illness, or things like that. Doesn't mean that it's not real,
Mm.
mean that you're not saying something that's true.
Mm.
How can we start to widen the aperture of your life?
Mm.
And
Mm.
one of the things I say a lot is like, I know your illness is real. I'm not going to be one of those people who's going to stand up on a stage and tell you that your illness is not real and that you made it up and that it's all based on your thoughts. I think that is incredibly harmful.
Yeah,
And I also want to ask you, what else is real?
I
That's
love
it.
that question.
That's it.
Hmm.
Right? That is it. It is honoring, okay, got it. You got this diagnosis and it has wreaked havoc on your situation. I completely see it and honor it. But you can't survive there only, right? So what else is real? What
Mm.
else can we focus on? And I think that is a life-changing question when you ask it for like certain people.
Mm. Mm. I think it's a really important question. What else is real? And I also do think some people get so identified with their illness that it's a much bigger illness than it actually is.
Mhm.
When I had Lyme disease, people were telling me about support groups, and I joined them, and I was like, oh my gosh, get me out of here. And I almost think it's like addictive. Like you start getting into making yourself heal, and then you're on like 14 parasite cleanses, and actually you're just causing a ton of shit going on in your body that it doesn't need. And we've forgot that our body is like a natural pharmacy that can do so many things for us. Like I think about one of my friends, she's one of the busiest people I know, and when she wasn't well, she ended up flying every week to get these treatments up in San Francisco when she could have gotten them home in LA, and just the flying and the chaos to go and find the best actually just made her not feel like she was already under the weather versus going and getting a treatment a few blocks away. Maybe it wasn't the world-class doctor, but it was like a pretty good doctor and allowing your life to be simple. So, what do you think happens when people kind of go into that spiral? Like I'm sure we've all been there. I've had my own relationship with it. Um, and what are some of the healing modalities you focus on in working with your clients now?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I think the first thing that comes up for me when you ask that, I like want to put my hand on my heart and my belly and just it's so much about the self-trust. That is so much about what this work is. And I know for me and so many people that I know who live with chronic conditions, when our body starts to show up and sort of behave in ways that feel like a betrayal, right? We start to often lose our self trust because our body and the symbiotic relationship that we have with it is so intrinsic to that. Like I wake up in the morning and I can go to my workout class or I can go for the walk that I need to do for my circadian rhythm and I can do that. Like, yeah, I've got agency. I can do all this stuff. And as soon as your body says, I'm sorry, you cannot,
Mm,
you are like, are you out of your freaking mind? What are you even saying to me right now? And it's like you start to have this relationship where you feel almost like at war
mm,
with your body, which is not what we want.
mm,
Right. So even just starting from there, that's the first place that I start with people is how do we start to look at the whole of your life? It's not a medical conversation, right? It's a life mastery conversation. How do we look at the whole of your life and these friends that you've mentioned who sound incredibly powerful and beautiful and amazing and have such big hearts? How do we look at the holes that are in other parts of their life where they're not fully in alignment?
mm,
And then we start to see what I start to see a lot is that overgiving that I was telling you about, is that inability or unwillingness or just deep belief that they are not allowed to have boundaries, that they're not allowed to say no, that they're not allowed to put themselves first, that if they do that, they're actually harming other people. Who am I to have, that level of self, like just desire for myself to have that much fulfillment?
mm,
Who am I to really be that? And that is what's really underlying so much of this disease. And again, it's not saying that the pain and the illness isn't real,
yeah.
but it's like what else is underneath the surface. So that's kind of the first place that
Mm,
I start with people. And I also, which is like a little hard to, package in a in a conversation like this, but in the private conversations that I have with people, I'm sitting here with like my tarot. Like I do a lot of psychic and intuitive
right.
work with my
I love
clients.
it.
I don't honestly really publicize that I do that until people do discovery calls with me. And then I'm like, so I'm a
I
little
love that stuff. Yeah.
and like no one knows. So here
Yeah.
we're gonna do
You're on
this.
the right show, my
Um,
friend.
okay, great. And it's very clear when I start working with people, I can sense things in their body that's happening. And I don't always know what it is that I'm sensing. I don't know why I'm sensing something. But, like, for example, I was with a client yesterday and she got this amazing new opportunity. It was like clear she'd been doing the work and she manifested something so exciting. Even I was like, holy shit,
Yeah, I
this work
manifest.
is incredible, you know?
Yeah.
And my something in my gut was like, talk about her mom. Something happened with her mom. You need to say something about her mom. I was like, okay. So I listen and I start talking about her mom. And she's like, Nitika, you are so freaking psychic. She's like, what is going on? And that's literally what she said. And then we started talking about how she had to repattern this whole thing with her mom because every time she talks to her mom about something, it brings her to this totally low vibration.
Mm,
Bless her mom, but her mom is not the person that is going to be her biggest cheerleader because she
mm,
doesn't have the capacity to be, not because she's even trying to be mean, you know? So it's hard to say like, oh, it's this one modality, it's this one modality. The nervous system work has really, really helped change my life so much. I bring that into all the conversations and then a lot of this intuitive, emotional, somatic work as well.
mm. I love that you're witchy. All my friends are. It's the best. And I also have learned a lot this year in my growth. I have this coach who's kicking my ass every week for 2 hours, and
Oh my
she
God.
has no mercy, honestly. But she's really, and I've talked about this on the podcast lately, she's really helped me realize like sometimes a feeling means nothing. I do think the self-development industry makes what you feel like it turns feelings into intuitive nudges too fast. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's just a feeling floating on by and it's like this aimless, not that interesting, valuable thing. And we can read into it too much. And so she's really taught me when I have a feeling to like also be open to the possibility that it's just a feeling with absolutely no reason or anything. And also my partner Jason, which it's funny because his name is Jason Wisdom and he's like the wisest person I've ever met. And I own a company called Wise Whisper with Jason Wisdom. But anyway, he um he also has kind of taught me like don't make assumptions, like that's his thing. And I think sometimes my intuition puts me on a path of like making assumptions. Like we
Mhm.
were with a couple once. I can't remember where we were. We were in the Bahamas or something in a jacuzzi at a hotel and I had this feeling I'm like, is that guy cheating on his wife? Like it just felt dark, like something.
Yeah.
When they left, I'm like, God, they have such a cute family. And I had this like horrible feeling he's cheating on her. And he's like, don't make assumptions. Like you don't know who they are. Just because you feel something dark doesn't mean there is something dark. It could be an energy all around you in this universe that has nothing to do with him. Like he could have had a look on his face that reminds you of something else. So it's been really refreshing to start questioning it, but it's also been a
Yeah.
little bit disorienting because you're
Yeah.
talking about the gut and you're like, let me check this out. And that's the thing is I've started to see my gut as this like nudge to be like, check it out.
Yeah.
Maybe let's see. How do you hone your intuition? Like, what do you do to feel more clear?
Yeah. Like, I'm so excited right now. I feel like I love
Yeah,
this conversation, honestly,
yeah.
because I really get what you're saying. I feel like there's been so many times in my life where I have a strong like connection to this gut part of me, right? And it
Yeah,
sounds like so
same.
do you, right? So then I would always be like, well, this must mean XYZ thing. Like I used to be married, and I remember when I got divorced, it took me almost a decade to get over. I felt so betrayed by my first.
Yes. Oh my God, yeah. The
I
amount of relationship dating situations that can fuck with our relationship to our intuition, especially if women have been gaslit, not to say you had any experience of that, but it's like,
yeah.
yeah, just the amount of like, you know what area, and I'm interrupting you, I want to let
No, no,
you.
no, I want to hear.
The area that messes with me the most with intuition is
Yeah.
friends. I have had nothing but amazing friends. I've sat in circle with a lot of women that have trauma from other women, bullying, or everything in the book. I've lost one friend recently, um,
Mhm.
and I haven't really experienced it like that, where like the person just kind of disappears and I don't know what happened. And I
Mhm.
have such deep bonds with my friends in LA. This friend does not live in LA. I don't know what I did wrong, if I did anything wrong. I know things are sometimes about the other person and what they're going through, and it means nothing about me, but I don't know.
Mhm.
And it really messed with my intuition because the way I trust friends and sisterhood, it's like a whole other level. The best friends I have at home, which now New York is my home, and this is where I'm living my life. It's like I would on days where my mind and my soul are lost, I've looked at friends and been like, I'm gonna borrow your clarity today because I can't trust my mind. It's not very good and right now.
Yeah.
And it's like I've outsourced willingly through secure connection to them.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
can't imagine, I mean, I can. It's just like the disorientation somebody's going through right now, if they're listening, or
Mhm.
some close relationship in their life kind of blindsided them because there's the trauma of loss and the pain of loss.
Yep.
Then there's like the trauma of being blindsided in and of itself. Like whatever you were blindsided by, that's one thing that really sucks. But it's just the experience of feeling blindsided. I think it puts
Totally.
you in a whole doozy with your intuition. And then you're like, who am I? And like, can I listen to anything? And what did I miss? So yeah, can you talk to me a little bit? Like you said you were married, you got divorced 10 years ago?
No, I was married at 20. So
Hmm.
I got married a long time ago and I got divorced almost 4 years after, so at 24.
Hmm.
And oh yeah, when I got divorced, when I got married, let's start there. I was so, even though I was young, remember, I had already been sick for 10 years.
Wow.
And I had already gone through like
Oof.
crazy shit that like most people, don't go through even when they're older. So I was pretty grown up in a lot of ways internally, right? I was pretty grown up. And so I was very aware of what I was doing. I was not absent-minded or disassociated or whatever. I fell madly in love with my ex-husband. And I was so sure it was that intuition. I was like, oh my God, he's meant to be my husband. Literally, the phone call where he told me that he had feelings for me, I'd known him my whole life. And
Mm,
so the phone call when he finally professed his feelings for me, I said, we should get married.
mm,
Because first of all, I was naive, so I didn't know that you're not really supposed to say stuff like that. But I just knew. I just knew. I was like, he's supposed to be my husband. What I didn't know is that he was supposed to be my husband, but only for a short amount of time.
wow. How the fuck do you reconcile that one?
Well, it took me a long time. And
Yeah.
I felt more than like I felt betrayed by him. He had a whole challenging mental health issue and just kind of disassociated from his whole life. And it came out of absolutely nowhere. I didn't know he didn't have any signs of that when we got married.
Mm,
So it was really devastating and really shocking. But I forgave him faster than I forgave myself.
self. Yeah, of course.
I took forever to forgive myself.
Yeah.
And I'm now in a beautiful partnership and relationship with someone who I love very much, but I hadn't been in a close, like long-term relationship for a really long time.
I mean, there's something magical about like going inward. It takes a lot of courage, I think. Maybe I see my friends who got a divorce, they're a little better at being like, I'm not dating anyone right now because they went through like a portal that is a little bit different than like a breakup,
Yeah.
like a divorce. But it's always been hard for me to be like, I'm not going to date because like I've always wanted to find the person. I've always wanted to like get married and have kids. And so there were so many times in my dating life that I met a friend. They're like, I'm on a detox with men. Like I'm on a man talks. And I'd be like, wow, good for you. And I never had the courage to do it. And guess what? I had the courage to do it after my last relationship ended. 6 months. So not however many years you did.
Yeah, that's fine.
6 months,
Yeah.
hired the coach that's kicking my ass. And she was like, you're going to do 2 hours of reading every morning. You're going to meditate and you're going to journal. I like 5 times my revenue. Like I just listened to this woman. I was like, whatever you say, patch me in, coach. Like
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
humbled by my misses here. Like I was
Mm.
with the wrong person. I thought it was right. We broke up. And I spent 5, 6 months doing that work. And I opened up the dating app, and it was the first time I'd opened up the app since the breakup. And I was in New York on a work trip, and there was my boyfriend. And it was just one date, one person after 6 months of total detox. And I
Hmm.
think I just was so clear in my energy of what I'm looking for, what I want. I also like almost reworked all the gravitational pulls of this entire universe that were
Hmm.
keeping me in the wrong choices. And it was like that gap in time that did it. So it's like I get it more than ever now when people are like, I'm not going to date anyone. I just had dinner with this girl in New York the other night. She was like, I think I need to stop dating. I'm like, it's a pattern break if you
Yeah,
keep picking
it
the
is.
wrong stuff. And I feel like love is such a place where intuition just dances and gets challenged. And so, what do you think if somebody's
Yeah.
listening right now and they're like, I'm so out of sorts, like,
Mhm.
what do I even think? What do I even feel? Like, where would you tell them to go with themselves?
Yeah, well, we talked about, that grief, and I do, want to underscore that because I think people really try to avoid that if it's not obvious to them what they might be grieving. So I would say take some time to do that. But so much of what you said, Ashley, I'm just so inspired by because
Thanks.
That is, yeah, that is what I think it takes to change your life.
Yeah.
So if and I've had to put myself on the same kind of journey. If I see something, and it was the same with relationships and career and so many things in my life, my health. Okay, fine. I hear you. You're upset, that you're pissed off. This happened. You're devastated. You feel like a victim. All these things. Okay, I get it. Now you have to do something different.
Mm,
Are you, and ask yourself honestly, are you willing to do something different? For many years, I wasn't willing to do something different, especially when it came to relationships.
mm,
I kept attracting the same guy over and over and over again. And then I kept being completely like, oh my God, I can't believe that this guy is so terrible. And and also not taking responsibility for how I was showing up in that shitty dynamic.
mm,
That's also another thing. Like, yes, he should have been kinder. He should have been more thoughtful, whatever. That's the bare minimum. But
mm,
how was I engaging in
mm,
his lack of thoughtfulness and his treating me like, kind of used goods or whatever it might be? I was completely showing up for that.
mm,
And so I never really, until actually I met, excuse me, until actually I met my current boyfriend, I never really stopped and saw my side when it came to that toxic dynamic with
right,
men. I
right.
feel like I was so, and that's what people tell you. It's okay. Just, oh, he's trash. He's not great. He's so mean. You're such a queen. Like
Yeah,
all those things might be true on some level, but like, no, 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 we have a part to play. So I
yeah.
would say if somebody's sitting there feeling bewildered, feeling like, what the hell? Like there's so much I could do today. Like, what am I supposed to do? Start with telling yourself, I'm a big list person. So like start with even just writing some lists. It doesn't have to be super complicated. You don't have to invest a bajillion dollars. Like just go and get a notebook or go on Google, Sheets or whatever, or Google Docs, and just say, these are the things I don't love about my life. This
Mm,
is how I end up feeling every time I'm on the phone with this person. This is how I end up feeling at the end of my day. Every time I go to my office, I feel like this. I don't like, this is not what I want for myself, you
mm,
know? And just get honest about it. That is the core key thing for everything I do with anyone. Let us stop ourselves and then wondering why our life doesn't look the way that we want it to,
right.
right? This is your one life.
Mm-hmm.
And there has to be a way that you do this where you're not killing yourself to do it, because we want you to be in a parasympathetic, relaxed state, right? But that routine that you were talking about, I'm going to read every morning. I'm going to journal. I've been doing this journaling every night, saying certain affirmations, doing a hypnosis. I started doing, deep imaginings through the To Be Magnetic program for a while. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this every freaking day because who else is going to do it?
Mm-hmm.
And let me stop pretending like somebody is going to come and save me and do it for me, because they're not.
That's a
Right?
really good point too. And I think that that's another thing that my coach is like really, it's funny, I've done a lot of coaching. I've had different ones that have made a huge impact on me, but this one's really met me where I'm at. And she's really talked to me a lot about being a victim. And when I was in my last breakup, I was like, ugh, can you believe this? Like, he said this and that. Like, who says that? Like, how could somebody say that to somebody? And she looked at me and it was so unforgiving. She goes, ugh, you're such a victim. We have so much work to do. She said that to me. And I was like, but the thing I do have that's a saving grace, and she told me this recently after a year of working together. She's like, I just want you to know, like, you're one of the least defensive people I've ever worked with. And I'm like, that's amazing. So I received that.
Great.
I'm like,
Receive
oh
it.
no. Well, when she said you're a victim, I'm like, oh dear. Like, how do I make it stop? Like, I don't want to
Yeah.
be a victim of this. But she helped me see what it really means to be a victim in the context of relationships and choices. So, like, I think about
Yeah.
a family member I have, and he keeps saying he wants to, like, meet the one for him, the right partner. But then he keeps dating people that are what he says he doesn't want to deal with.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, okay, well, if you don't want to be a provider, you can't date people that are unemployed anymore. And I don't mind if somebody's unemployed. So for some
Hmm.
people, it doesn't really make a difference if they're fine with
Yeah.
the person. For you, it does because they're walking into the situation and you're automatically the thing you say you don't want to be, which is a provider. And so he keeps dating these people that he's a provider for, and then they keep fighting over how he has to provide for them. And he keeps having relationships where he has to help get their career up and running. And then he complains about all of it. I'm like, this is exactly what my coach is telling me is, and this is what we're
Yeah.
all doing in different
Yeah.
ways. We're doing it in our love life, our careers, our friendships. Like, how could this be happening? It's so not right that this, it's like we forget that we have a choice. We always are making choices. We're choosing to be places. And it's like, yeah. So when I was like, how could somebody say that to me? She's like, how could you stick around after they said that? And I'm like, I don't
She's
know.
amazing. She sounds brutal and in the best way.
Literally, she's
Yeah,
like an ice bath for
but
this. Yeah, she's an ice bath.
oh my God, that's so good. But it's true. Actually, I learned a lot about this in my nervous system work with my coach, that there's a difference between being a victim and victimhood. So being victimized and victimhood. And
Mm,
what you're talking about, which I also have had for a lot of my life, is the victimhood. So
mm,
someone, maybe the thing he said was shitty, right? And so, okay, that's the point where maybe you were victimized by his action. But the victimhood is us staying and then being like, well, I'm just gonna like text and like maybe, maybe I'll see if like he wants to, fix this, or like we're gonna kind of try, or why
cry.
are you
Oh my
texting me?
gosh.
And you're like wearing it. I mean, I know Ashley because I had done the same thing. So that's that's why I know. Right. But that was the difference. And when I met my boyfriend too, and it also, I don't know if this is true for you, but it didn't feel anything like I thought it was going to feel when I met my partner.
Yeah.
It was so, even though you said it was like one date, you knew, whatever, but like mine was
I
not
don't know
like
if I knew. No, we both didn't know. We just got along. I
you
just had
just
a
got
nice vibe with
along.
him. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. My first date with my boyfriend was a disaster.
My gosh, stop. Really? That's
It
so.
was. It was on my end. Because I used to be so fight or flight with men.
Mm,
Even men I wasn't interested in. Like if I met your boyfriend, like we were all hanging out, like I would go into fight or flight just because I had so much nervous energy around men.
mm,
And so I had to really reprogram that. And when I met my current boyfriend, yeah, we were on our first date and I kept trying to label him, like trying to figure him out, like, oh, he's like this or he's like that. So I told him that he was soft.
mm.
Okay. Which I didn't think was a bad thing, but he was like, that's literally like the worst thing you could say to me. And I was like, oh, okay.
Sorry.
But he's so chill. He was so sweet. And then like 2 days later, he asked me to a movie and he's like, do you want to go to the movies with me? And I was like, okay. And then we've been together ever since.
That's so
Um,
funny. Like we kind of had like a boring connection, me and my guy. It was just like
yeah,
easy to be with each other, not
yeah,
really any sparks. We talked about how we don't have sparks for like the first 3 months of the relationship. And then finally I had this shifting point where I was like, the no sparks thing is making me sad. Like, can we stop with this dialogue? And now it's been like almost a year with him and he's the best,
yeah.
yeah.
But it's very different. I get what you mean by the no sparks thing. It's like it wasn't like this chaotic, intoxicating
Yeah.
connection. It
Yeah.
was like, oh, I met someone that I really like. Like I met this
Yeah.
person who's really great. Yeah, it's so different.
It's so different. And like with the people that you work with that have a lot
Huh.
going on with their health, like I'm
Yeah.
imagining it rocks their relationships. Like what are some thoughts you have for people? And I know we have to go. I'm like literally going so over, but
It's
what are some thoughts you have for people that are listening right now thinking like I don't feel well. I think it's time for me to own it. I probably need to go to a doctor or get some blood work done.
Mm,
I need to start like doing what you said of like what's also real right now if they're over-identified with not feeling well. But I know a lot of people, their relationships probably aren't great if they're not great. So where do you go with that?
yeah, I mean, there's two parts to that. So the first part is if you're noticing that you haven't been feeling well, or maybe you've been trying to go to doctors and it hasn't been helping, I want you to really shift your energy around how you approach this part of your life.
Mm,
So the medical system is atrocious. Okay, it does not help the people who actually need the most help.
mm,
And for so many people, it is completely unreasonable for them to even try to get the help that they need.
mm,
And, okay, and when you decide that you are worthy of the kind of help that you deserve, you are able and capable of going above and beyond to figure out what does that look like for you. So whether that's sending a mass email to the 100 people your five closest friends, whatever it is, say, hey, this is what I've been going through. I've been hitting my head up against the wall for forever. I don't know what's going on. I need somebody who I can talk to who's going to hear me out and who's going to help me with this. This is not working for me anymore. Things like that. It's kind of like when someone, like, God forbid, loses their job, right? Like they might be hemming and hawing and they're like going on all these interviews and they're trying all these things. And then finally, they're just like, "F this. I deserve to have an amazing job. What is going on here? I'm going to write an email and I'm going to send it to my friends. And most of the time when people have done stuff like that, they're like shocked by how many people are like, oh, hey, I know somebody you can talk to, or like, oh, this place is hiring, or they post about something on LinkedIn or whatever it might be, right? So to me, it's that ownership that is crucial. It is so crucial on any step of the journey.
Mm,
And then in terms of the relationship thing, I want you to really evaluate two things when it comes to the relationship. One is, where are you shutting yourself off from being cared for? That is really a huge issue. So many people, especially really high performing, amazing women, like we are so nurturing and incredible at that just naturally. So many times when we are fighters and we're tough, we just stop ourselves from receiving in ways that we don't even realize. I
mm,
think that's like honestly such an epidemic for all of us. And just because we can do it doesn't mean we should.
mm,
If you're in a relationship where, and I actually wrote a free guide about this called Nourished, that's like all about like getting your needs met and getting nourished and how do boundaries come into play and all these different things and what even is a need.
mm,
Because so many people feel like this underlying sense of like, this really isn't it. Like, I am just kind of existing here. I'm
mm,
giving it my all, and I don't really feel like I'm getting back what I'm giving.
mm,
And so, the first thing I would say is start asking yourself, where are you cutting yourself off from receiving? So, if we're, friends and you're like, Nitika, I heard you just like had a really shitty week, like with a flare. Can I come and like send you something or whatever you might say, right? And I'm
mm,
like, oh, no, 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 no. Actually, I'm fine. I'm fine. Don't worry about me. I'm good. And then, like, over the weekend, I'm like crying because I'm by myself,
mm,
right? How many times have we done that? It's kind of a practice to be like, okay, I feel really awkward, but sure, Ashley, yes, please. I'm
mm,
going to allow you to come over and like help me with my dishes or something or whatever the thing might be,
mm,
right? So where are you cutting yourself off from that? And then the second thing, which is a little bit edgier, is like, I really want you to be honest with yourself. When you're not feeling well and you do verbalize what's going on, is the person meeting you with care?
mm,
And if they're not, then that's at least for starters, a conversation that you need to have. Like, hey, I've said this to people before too. I don't really like to say that I'm not doing well. So if I mention it, just know I'm really not well.
mm,
And I might need a little extra care.
mhm,
I might need you to be a little more patient with me.
mm,
And you have to do the work to know that about yourself, right? The other person cannot do that work for you.
yeah.
So those are kind of a couple of the things that I would start with for
Mhm.
sure.
This has been such a cool conversation. Obviously, you're my new friend now in New
I mean,
York.
obviously.
It's literally happening. We're
Yeah.
gonna get some spirit animal cards out
Oh my God.
literally yesterday. I know.
I
And
can't
like
wait.
next couple weeks are so crazy. I'm moving on Friday next week, and my man is officiating a wedding the same day we're moving.
Oh my God.
And yeah, it's like all this going on, but I've been needing some witchy shit. So that's what's coming now. And
Great.
I'm just glad you were able to gift this audience this energy because I do think more than ever, as I've managed a speaking agency, I'm realizing certain speakers are just paid for their energy.
Mm.
And a lot of aren't. A lot of people are paid for their content. Everybody has something magical going on, that is out there speaking that we have, but some of them are just paid for the energy. I think this podcast was like a transmission of energy for people to like kind of bring in. So thank you for that. And I'm gonna put some things in the show notes. Where can everybody find you? Where's the best place to go?
Yeah, go to my Instagram at Nitika Chopra, and I have a link in bio. You can get the guide, you can get a discovery call with me if you want. We can hang out.
Yay. Thank you so much again for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to the U-Turn podcast. I hope you learned so much in this episode and you're putting it into action today. We would love to hear from you. Slide into my DMs at Ashley Stahl or leave a written review if you're inspired. It would mean so much to us. Be sure to subscribe to the show because, as you know, the more subscribers we get, the better the guests we can bring you. And in the meantime, if you're looking to skyrocket your personal brand and impact millions, head on over to wisewhisperagency.com to learn more about how we can help you craft your greatest talk of your life, how we can help you get booked on some of the biggest stages in the world, even the TED or TEDx stage. We'd love to hear from you, and that's it for this week.
Trying to solve, always think you know it. I've been thinking about you up against that wall. It's too late, I fell on every fall. Holding ground, no words. I'm holding ground, no words. Holding ground, no words. Late night drive, what you trying to do tonight? I swear you don't even try, yeah, you still look stupid. I can try and make you mine, but I don't think you like guys. I don't think you like guys. I don't think I should try. I guess it's time to give up.